It's a coalition of CEOs that are concerned about how to turn on all of their human capital. And there's a significant portion of the human capital that wasn't fully turned on. And finding ways to create dialogue in our company has made a difference. It's made a difference in our company, our employees. It also makes a difference in how well we can serve African ancestry consumers, or more broadly, diverse consumers, which is important to our business. And the coalition is now, what, over 500 companies, about 500 companies that can share best practices, that can identify ideas. And in this area, if we can learn from each other, we can create a better marketplace for everybody.
I mean, Tim, and just reading through all the stuff, I mean, there must be some type of implicit bias that most people aren't even aware of, because you look at for example, gender issues and the number of women in senior positions at S&P or CEOs. It must be there still, and you need to confront it all the time.
When we asked CEOs to come in, and one of the reasons we did CEO action is we wanted to start at the top. We knew that CEOs can do remarkable things, and if they got involved, we could do even better. And one area we can do better on is implicit bias. We all have them. We just don't realize it. It doesn't make us bad. It means that we have certain biases. And one of the 3 big commitments CEOs have made who have joined this coalition is to make unconscious bias training available to all of their employees, not just the executive team. And in fact, we've put our unconscious bias training out on the website for anybody to use, so we can all learn how to deal with our biases and then be better people, better leaders, and better stewards of the community.
There's a poll, and it cited how many individuals would like to see social justice issues taken on by CEOs. I have I think it's a nuanced position. I think in this case, absolutely makes sense. But in other cases, one individual's social justice issue is another individual's protest movement, because we're so divided. This one I think everybody can probably agree with. But at Procter & Gamble, how do you view activist CEOs in terms of just across the boards, let's say San Francisco social justice issues? Do you think P&G needs to adopt every one of those?
P&G needs to understand what is important to our employees and create an environment inside our company where people can perform at the highest of their potential. We also need to find how to connect with consumers throughout the country, consumers that are very diverse. So to the extent there's an idea that we can take in, do we chase all the social justice issues? No. Right. Do we listen to our employees and understand what is important to them? Absolutely. And this is very much focused on trying to take advantage of the fact that you take 500 companies that are collectively learning a variety of different things, we can become better faster. And there's many areas we compete. On this area, we believe we can create a better environment inside our company, culture inside our company, and done well, we can help create.
We're so excited to have you here, David, just because we don't get to talk to you that much. Yes. But you had the best sales growth that you've had in years in your most recent quarter.
Yes.
How are you approaching the small, the niche millennial, they want to have Annie's, I don't know. Take your pick of a small niche brand versus a Procter & Gamble behemoth brand. How are you walking that line now? You're buying some of the small ones, you de-emphasizing the large ones. How do you look at the future?
The answer is many ways both, and the answer is finding out how to best serve the consumers in any one of the categories. We compete in 10 categories. In each of those, we have generally the leading brand or the number 2 brand, most of them the leading brand. But you also seen us over the last couple of years add some additional brands where we believe it is a small brand today, but we want to make it a big brand. We're not about having 500 small brands. We are about identifying a brand that may allow us to serve a consumer or a segment of consumers that we can grow. And you've seen us do 3 or 4 of those in the last year. But the biggest part of the growth is the fact that our big brands are growing faster. Why? They're addressing unmet needs the consumers have.
We heard from Walmart this morning, too, and they had great numbers as well.
They did.
And I've heard from suppliers that it's tougher and tougher to deal with the Walmarts and the Amazons of the world. How much do you have to have the number 1 or number 2 brand to be able to have any pricing power in that world?
It certainly helps a good bit, because the number 1 or 2 brand does a number of things. It brings people into stores. The number 1 or 2 brands is number 1 or 2 because it meets a consumer need. And as long as we're in touch with consumers, staying focused on consumers, we'll be well positioned. And certainly whether it's Walmart or any other retailer, on or offline, consumers are searching for brands that meet their needs, that solve problems or give benefits. That's what we want.
Can I go back just for a second to this day that you guys are working on, which is there are now only 5 women who are CEOs of the S&P 500, 3 African Americans, 3 in the whole group. If you look at the pipeline inside your company, if in your succession plan, if you get hit by a bus when you leave here, I hope that doesn't happen. Will either of you be replaced by either a woman or somebody of color?
So, Andrew, let me maybe take that first and
Yeah, sure.
give it a break. Couple of things. So I'm very lucky to have been blessed with my predecessor who was serious about succession planning. When you look at my 3 major lines of business, my tax practice, African-American man, my advisory practice, African-American man, and my assurance practice is a Latino woman. We have an incredibly diverse team. So I think there's a really good chance. Hopefully I won't get hit by a bus tomorrow, but I think there's a really good chance. That being said...
You just bought a bus. So
yes, we did just buy a bus, which I'd love the chance to talk about. But that being said, what I think is really important is the work that CEOs need to do from the ground up around making their companies inclusive at every level, not just so you look up, but every single level. And on the CEO Action website, there's over 450 best practices that anybody can go look at to figure out how to do that.
What about you?
We just named 6 CEOs of sectors. 3 are women. 3 are women. And certainly I have African-American women and a variety of different cultures that report directly to me. So in the top team, we have representation across both Americans and non-Americans, as well as most different forms of diversity. We believe it's critical to win in the future. We want to serve consumers around the world. We need to be represented by people that understand them.